David Cain is a historian and runs a project documenting the history of the American 8th Air Force in the east of England.
The way of life, and the access to different facilities like sewage and running water, it starts to change at this point, and that legacy carries on and builds and develops in the post-war period. But in terms of the landscape, it's never really gone back to what it was. It was agricultural before the start of the Second World War. When the bases were built, it became an industrial landscape. And very much when you look at it now, it appears as a post-industrial landscape. The agriculture's come back in, and farming still takes place, but the infrastructure's still there. And it has been said that it was the biggest single landscape change that's ever happened in this area, especially from the man-made point of view. And I think that's true. I mean, if you look out the window here from the control tower, it's a big expanse of land now, and this would have been made up of lots of small fields and agricultural systems at that time. And again, that's repeated across the area in terms of the change on the landscape. Nothing had been seen like it before, and certainly nothing's been seen like it since either.
I love this model. It gives a great sense of just how many buildings, how many people had to be housed in this location.
It tells you the scale of it, but also it tells you how it fits within the landscape as well, in terms of the woodlands, but also the local hamlets and villages and farmhouses which existed here before the war. When you look at it like this, and at the time, it's as if the airfield has been laid on top of traditional British countryside with its ancient hedgerows and woodlands, and that's very much the impact would have happened at the time, is that it would have cut off the roots and the familiar places which local people loved and enjoyed in the rural community, and that impact's still felt today. You can still see the airfield cutting across the traditional rural British countryside.
Some airfields had been operational for less than a year before the Allies achieved victory in Europe, but now they'd fulfilled their purpose, and after VE Day the Americans left. But their impact on the countryside remained.
The Americans, as soon as VE Day happens on May the 8th, are starting to plan to leave. And most of the American forces, by the end of May, June 1945, have left forever. But the landscape and what's left behind remains once they've gone.
Yes, because all the buildings, all the concrete, these new developments are still present in the landscape.
And still used today. In terms of the roads, the impact on water and electricity, it changed permanently. The landscape you look at now was constructed in 1942, and it was built by the Americans.